So, after finding out about this letter, we did reach out to Adam's dad and his uncle Ahmed. His uncle Ahmed was actually married to Jennifer for like over 20 years. Um, we sent him a copy of the letter, and this is what he wrote us back in an email. He said, "Hello, Armani. That was quite a bit of information. Based on what I have read, I believe that Jennifer has overstepped, as usual, her knowledge base. She is not a doctor, not in all caps, even though I have seen her in my 33 years of marriage to her try to act/talk as one. As far as I know, she is an RN with no advanced training in any nursing related field." This is not like Jennifer's first time doing something like this. She actually owns a bunch of convalescent homes out in Arizona. I have a few recordings of, Adam and his uncle, and I'm going to play them for you guys, and I'm going to come back and talk about them real quick.
Adam, I look back in these 33 years that I lived with her.
Yeah.
For the life in me, Adam, I do not know how I tolerated all this crap. It's all about money. Money. This is the most important thing in her life is money.
Yeah.
She would lie. She would do everything.
But
for
no,
money.
but like, I'm trying a lot.
Did you ever get copies of the letters that she wrote to the doctors, your physicians? Did you ever get copies of what she wrote?
Dude, we got everything. I just don't trust nobody in the family no more.
Adam, let me tell you something just for your information, some of the crap that she was doing. You remember, I was an engineer at Boeing, right? Jennifer was doing the assisted living. Well, when I retired, and this is the problem, when I retired, now I could see everything that she was doing because I don't have the company anymore.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. She conspired with the manager of one of the facilities, Emerald Grove South.
Yeah.
And they covered up. This manager ended up giving this resident the wrong medication for 7 days.
Yeah.
And I found, of course, all this later. I mean, actually almost like 8 or 9 months later. Well, the resident died.
Yeah.
And I talked to the manager. How come you never told me? Well, Jennifer told me not to tell you. So I'm saying is that life for Jennifer doesn't even mean anything. Anything. When you are so reckless, and something as important as this ended up probably causing the death of this person, and it doesn't make any difference to you? No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Life, like I said, the only thing, Adam, that she really worries about is money, and she has to come across as being the nicest person. The only thing that kills her, she is a person that has no heart. I mean, when you have the person tell you that I can scam my way in anything, I can BS and I swear to God, this is exactly what she said. I can BS my way in anything. So when you have a person that admits that they can do this, you have to be careful taking them, I mean, for what they tell you. I mean, they can BS their way with you too.
Hey, look, I'm telling you.
You know what, Adam? If what you're saying is really, I mean, something that they would use, they're fine for each other. But if it's something they cannot use, they're going to dislike each other. You see, people benefit from each other. This is the problem.
I get what you're saying.
That you can, anything they say that you can benefit from, they're nice, they're helpful, and all that. If they say something bad, then they're your enemies, you don't like them, and all that. So I can see this going up and down in relation between your mom and Jennifer. She hears something good from Jennifer that helps her, she's fine. Jennifer says something that ticks her off. No, she's not fine until it changes.
So as you can hear there, I mean, it's just so crazy, obviously she was doing this at her convalescent homes, He explained the relationship between Vasi and Jennifer, how they'll use each other almost as like alibis. Like when they can benefit each other, they love each other. When they can't benefit each other, they talk shit about each other. I mean, to this day, Vasi talks shit about Jennifer to us. So it's just so funny that, that's the person you reach out to when all you do is talk about each other.
She cares about you, she laughs, she smiles, and all this. And you know what?
She'll set you up.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so be careful.
I love you. I don't know if I have you.
Well, the thing is, when she goes to church, she's a nice, pleasant, bubbly, laughing, and all this stuff. People don't really know what she's doing. People don't know what she is trying to do with residents that we have, giving them medication for people that die. This is against health department rules. She knows it, and she's a nurse. And she goes there and she gives them medication for people that died. And I told her, I'm going to report you to the health department if you don't get rid of this shit right now.
Yeah.
All what I'm saying, Jennifer have a front that she has to keep to make people like her.
Yeah.
But when you know her, and the only way you know her is that you really have to be around her for a long time. She's an evil person.
As you heard from him, he was an engineer at Boeing. So just keep that in mind when you listen to him and when you decide whether or not you're going to trust this guy's words. You know, he was married to her for 33 years. It's not just being bitter, but they have done this before and they're still doing it. You know, I'm going to play a couple news clips about, you know, what goes on in these convalescent homes, just to give you guys an idea of how they get away with these types of things.
There's a secret some nursing homes don't want you to know. They often drug the elderly to sleep rather than hire enough staff to take care of them. They use powerful, potentially fatal drugs to do it. Drug them up so they'll shut up.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
There's even a term for it.
They say take this lady to China.
What does that mean?
This can be any medication that will put a person to sleep.
Drug them so they'll fall asleep.
So they can go to sleep.
So that they're easier to take care of?
Yes.
You are listening to an informant who works directly with nursing home residents. She says she's seen the drugging firsthand. We're hiding her identity because she fears retaliation. The families, they have no idea.
They have no idea.
We found far too many Texas nursing homes are drugging the elderly, and they're going to extreme measures to hide it. Call. Hi, May. I'm Charlotte. When I entered, the smell of urine was undeniable. How are you? May is here because she's too weak to get herself out of bed, so she wears diapers, requiring someone to clean her regularly. See those flies? No one has come around lately.
So you've been lying in your pee and poop for how long today?
Today, all day.
But around here, she says, that's the norm.
I thought when I got older, man, I was going to be a grandma sitting on the porch. Everything was going to be wonderful. It's not. And if you go into a nursing home, you're treated like a dog.
Fed up with her care, she started complaining. She called her family and even the state. When the nursing home caught wind of that, May says a strange new blue and white pill began showing up with her meals.
And I said, whoa, wait a minute. I said, what are these for? And she says, you're refusing to take these? I said, I don't know what they're for. Yeah, I'm going to refuse to take them.
She then suspected staff was hiding the drug in her lemonade. She gave it and the pills to me and asked I go find out what they are. May was right. The drink contained an anticonvulsant with sedative effects, the same drug she had refused to take. The feds recently busted the drug's manufacturer for giving lucrative kickbacks to nursing homes that prescribed it to sedate residents, a use not approved by the FDA. A few days later, look at what May recorded.
When you see the little beads flying around, they're still trying to illegally drug me.
Days later, and still refusing to take the drug, the nursing home has May removed, citing increased agitation as the reason why. May's nursing home would not answer our questions, but did tell us each resident is treated individually and staff follows orders of the treating physician. It's now September. May is in a new bed in a new nursing home. But once again, she's given a strange new pill. See that white one there? It's Risperdal, an antipsychotic.
I said, what is this for? And she says, for your schizophrenia. I said, schizophrenia? I says, all of a sudden I've got another diagnosis?
That's inappropriate. That's completely inappropriate.
Inappropriate and dangerous, and says antipsychotics come with serious risks. That's exactly why the feds say they should only be used if you have one of 3 mental illnesses, the most common being schizophrenia.
But if you're using it just to keep people quiet, that's putting them at risk of increased risk of cardiac death, increased risk of falling, breaking a hip.
About 6 years ago, the feds noticed taxpayers were spending more on antipsychotics in nursing homes than any other class of drugs. Nursing home staff was using them to make their jobs easier and sedate difficult but not psychotic residents.
Let me just say, sir, it's really a shame in this great country, as much money as we spend nursing home care.
I agree that it's a shame, and I agree that we need to do better.
Back then, Texas was among the worst offenders in the country. But since then, the state's nursing homes claim they've made great improvements. We found that may not be true. Many nursing homes have not stopped drugging residents like they may want you to believe. We found some have, however, figured out how to fly under the radar. How? Just justify the prescriptions by diagnosing residents with psychotic conditions.
Now, after this whole ordeal with the letter and things like that, and after we really kind of was trying to distance ourselves and get help on our own without Vossi, she just kept trying to like play with us and throw things at us to throw us off track. I mean, I'm gonna play a recording from you guys, but she called Adam one day and said, hey, you know, someone is calling your yaya, you know, his grandma on his Greek side, saying that he was arrested in an Uber in Arizona, where Jennifer's from, and, you know, was for smoking weed in an Uber. And, you know, they said you have to send money. So, off top, you may think it's a scam, but when you listen to this, I just want you guys to look at the notes and listen to the recording, and then I'm going to come back real quick.
Hey, Mom.
What are you doing?
I'm just laying down.
Oh, really? Hey, Adam, something weird happened. I don't know if you're involved, but somebody's using your identity or name, but some got out and said that he was a lawyer and that you are arrested and that they needed $2,000 to bail you out of jail. And they said you were with somebody driving an Uber, pulled over, and there was marijuana in the back seat or something. Is this true?
I, Adam Hassan, me?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Some guy named Christopher Benson.
Christopher Benson.
He left his phone number or something like that, and then he called Yaya, and he said that she was talking to a boy, and she thought it was you, and you were crying, and then it's a scam, it looks like. And then they called Yaya's number. I don't know how they got Yaya's number at her house, and they said, okay, so Adam. So anyway, who is this man?
Who's who? I don't know who the hell you're talking about. You can come over and talk to me about it.
Okay, because this is a hoax. This is really a hoax.
Then go to the police.
Huh?
Go to the police.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to come over right now. Okay?
All right, bye.
Now, after this, you know, we told her just come over here, talk to us about it. That's when, you know, they have sent us those pictures of those notes. Now, one thing that I want you guys, I'm going to play a couple recordings of when she came over, and then I'm going to go over them because there's a few things that I want to point out that she mentions in here.
But anyway, it was really weird. My mom said that she got this weird phone call, and this boy was playing like he was you, and he was saying, "Oh, I need you to, I'm in jail. I'm arrested. I'm in jail in Arizona, and here's my attorney. You need to give this attorney $2,000 to bail me out."
Arizona.
In Arizona, and the guys, and then my mom gave me the guy's name. His name is Christopher Benson, and here's his phone number. And then Alex came on the phone and said, "Yeah." He goes, I didn't talk to the boy, but the boy was crying to my mom, you know, "Please get me out of jail." And she thought he was Adam. So I tell my mom, "How would that be Adam? Adam doesn't even know your home number." I go, "He's never called you." I go, "Somebody's playing games," I said. "Somebody's playing games. It wasn't Adam." "Well, maybe he could have looked up my name." I go, "How's he going to look up your name?"
So what did the guy say?
So the guy's like, the attorney's telling Alex that what happened was you both were in an Uber car, and you got pulled over by the
Who is both? Me?
You and a friend.
Yeah.
It was the friend was driving the car. It was his Uber car. And the marijuana.
So I was in somebody else's Uber car?
Yeah. And then Alex is like, well, how do you know that was Adam's, marijuana? And the guy goes, well, they wrote a report and they said it was for Adam Hassan. So then my mom.
Hold on. Okay, just go on.
So my mom's like all frightened. She says, and they were saying, don't tell Adam's mother. Just deposit the money in the account and don't tell Adam's mother. And so my mom's like immediately, gives the phone to Alex, and then Alex calls me up.
Okay, can I ask you something, Mom?
Well, your mom speaks English?
Yeah.
Oh.
She speaks English.
So even in that recording, you can hear me ask her, like, oh, your mom speaks English? Because anytime you're around her, I guess, she's from another country. She's from Greece, but she doesn't necessarily act all the way there. This is the same woman that acted like she didn't know Adam when he was running around the lake and he stopped to say hi to her. And I think she's done it more than once. Like, she's never treated Adam and his brother the same as his other cousins who were, fully Greek. As you heard in that recording of Vasi, like, they're very judgmental. So this is that woman. So we're like, okay, send us the pictures, send us the notes, we're going to go to the cops. And then Vasi is going to freak out about the phone number. I want you guys to listen to this real quick.
This is what you could do.
What if the cops call this number and then this person who answers denies it?
Well, it doesn't matter. What matters right now is trying to find the person that's trying to steal money from your mother. It doesn't call you guys' number. That's very scary. It's probably someone that you know, and you need to contact the cops.
Yeah.
You need to contact the cops.
I wonder if I should call my friend, because she...
No, not your friend.
Her husband's a cop. I can have him do it.
No, you need to go...
So even right there, you can hear Vasi say, I should call my friend. Her husband is a cop. She knows all these people. But second, the reason why the phone number is important is because we went over to Adam's, Yaya's house. And we had asked him about it. And we went to call the phone number that was written down on the notes. And it was his Yaya's number. And she was like, oh, I must have wrote down the wrong number. So that's why Vasi, she kept insisting, well, what if we call them and they say no? Well, do we really have to call the number? It was just always something to try to throw us off. Like, come on now. Like, how does she write down her own number and not know she was writing down her own number? So at this point, like, we're really like, something is up with Vasi. So after the whole issue with the letter and Jen and all these inconsistencies, that's when we really, was trying to contact the patient relations. We were trying to contact the head, lady at that time, and her name was Holly Light. So we actually drove over to Stanford and we left a note for her. We didn't even tell anyone we were going up over there. Not too long after that, Vasi brings over this letter that she claimed was from Stanford. I'm going to go over, just a few different inconsistencies about this letter. And the reason it's so disturbing is it shows the length that Vasi was willing to go to try to cover up her lie or cover up her tracks. So I'm going to start off with just some genuine letters from Stanford. Now, as you guys know, this was a continuing issue, so he had already received letters from the lady Kathleen Chamberlain. She was one of the patient relations managers. You can see here, her signature. She spells her first and last name. You can see the envelope from Stanford, how it is electronically stamped. Same thing with this one, different ink, same signature, first and last name. On the envelope, it is electronically stamped. It is addressed to the P.O. Box of 2141 in Castro Valley. Now, the letter that we've received from Vasi, now, she claims this came from Stanford, and it's supposed to be from the same person. Just look at this signature. That does not look like Kathleen Chamberlain's signature. That don't even look close. Not in any letter that she had ever sent Adam did she ever just write K Chamberlain. She's always wrote her first and her last name. Another thing that was off with this is look at the envelope. This came with like a personal stamp that you just buy, lick, and stamp on. Every other letter that Adam received from Stanford was electronically stamped. It said that it came from Sacramento, July 28th, 2016. That is so weird. Why would a letter that's supposed to be from Stanford be sent from Sacramento? Another thing I want to note, in the letter that was from Sacramento, they refer to Dr. John Costeros as an orthopedic surgeon. However, in every other letter we received from Stanford, he was referred to as a shoulder and elbow surgeon. Another thing that was off was in the Sacramento letter, his name was spelled wrong. So now, in regards to this letter, we actually contacted Kathleen and asked her about this, and without ever asking to see the letter or asking any questions about the letter, she specifically stated, if my name is on it, I signed it. So again, I guess she's willing to take responsibility for this, but I mean, as you guys can see, I mean, there's no way she signed both those papers. I mean, with all those inconsistencies, with his name being spelled wrong, with it coming from Sacramento, him being referred to as a orthopedic doctor or orthopedic surgeon instead of an shoulder and elbow surgeon, it doesn't add up.
Hi, good afternoon. It's Kathleen in Patient Relations at Stanford Healthcare. How may I help you?
Hi, Kathleen. It's Armani. You said that you spoke to the pharmacy director, and
Correct.
she said that there was no lot number for
Correct.
Depomedrol. Well, when I called Pfizer, they told me specifically that all of their medications must include the lot number, NDC, and expiration date. So I was just confused. They told me to give you guys a call back just to make sure because, you know, all their medications, they said, have that on them as far back as 2003. So I was...
All right. So you still don't have a lot NDC or expiration to update the report
No.
you made before, correct?
Yeah, because so basically all I was asking about that letter is just I was wondering why it came from Sacramento.
Why it came from Sacramento?
Yeah, it was
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. A letter came from Sacramento. Was it signed by me?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That letter the signature on that letter looks different than any other letter you sent us. And yeah, it was mailed from Sacramento. It had a stamp, and it said Sacramento, California with a zip code.
Well, if it's got my signature on it and my name, it came from me. And sometimes the mail doesn't get routed through Stanford. Sometimes I put a stamp on it, it gets routed that way. But it was from me. Mm-hmm. So there was nothing unusual about that. Were there any other questions?
Yeah, it was just the signature was completely different on that letter.
Well, Armani, if it has my name on it, I signed it. So what would you like me to do? Would you like me to send you another letter?
No, I was just wondering because that's just weird. It was just a question. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, well, I appreciate your opinion. I'll certainly make note of that.
So we tried contacting an officer by the name of Officer Mapes. Now, Adam had previously spoken to Officer Mapes with his mother a while back before we even had the second appointment with Dr. Costeros. And at the time, I mean, she's accompanying Adam to the police department, but at the same time, as you guys heard, she's lying to her friends and her family about what's really going on. So after that going on, after realizing, you know, that whole discrepancy within the letter that was supposedly from Jen, and then Vasi dropping off this letter that was supposedly from Stanford but got mailed from Sacramento, we just wanted to update him and ask him a few questions on like what we should do. But he was literally ignoring us. I mean, like, I also met with him with Adam, And I mean, I didn't get a good feeling from him at that time, but he was Adam's, SRO. He was a police officer at Adams High School, and he kind of already had an idea of what was going on. So, I mean, if we're going to speak to anyone, it made the most sense to speak to him. And he was just outright ignoring us. I mean, I was stopping by, I was leaving letters, I was calling him, and when he eventually got back to me, I mean, he admitted to receiving all those letters and emails and purposely ignoring me. So I'm going to play a few of those recordings and I'll be back.
Okay.
People lie to the cops all the time. That's just part of it, and that's not against the law. You can't lie to us about certain things like your name, and you can't stuff like that when we ask you to identify yourself. But people lie to the police all the time. That's unfortunately, I wish that was a crime, but that's not a crime lying to the police.
Yeah, I know. I only spoke to you once, but I mean,
or to Adam or anyone, it's the same thing,
It's just if you saw my emails, I would have really appreciated a response. I just didn't know you were just reading them and not responding. Because, we were contacting other officers too, and, they were confused too as why I wasn't getting a response. And so all this time I've been trying to talk to you because she's lying and you know a lot more of the story than these other officers. So, but if you can't help, I guess.
I wish there was something I can do, but there's just not. It's just nothing happened here in Newark, and I tried giving you guys the best advice or my 2 cents on what you guys can do, but obviously finding a good lawyer is going to be the best way to go about this.
Now, since, Officer Mapes was ignoring us, we decided to hit up, another police department, the Alameda Police Department, and I got in contact with this Sheriff Courtney Valmore, and we kind of just explained to him what was going on. We explained to him about, the letter from Sacramento, about Vossi calling, about the Uber in Arizona, and we just asked him if he would call her for us and ask her a couple questions, and he agreed to do so. I mean, he actually took the time to, listen to us and, try to reach out, but Vossi was ignoring his phone calls. I mean, he tried on multiple occasions. He went out of his way to do that, and when we would ask her about it, she would be like, well, I didn't get a call. I don't think he would lie, when she has a history of lying. So, there is one other thing I want to point out between Vossi and lying to the police. Now, in September of 2015, all that stuff was going on, with her taking him to the Greek lawyer, with them lying in the records. Adam was going in and out of the emergency room. So, again, he wasn't allowed to be there when her husband was there, or whatever the rules were. He went over to his mother's house asking for help, and she ended up calling the cops on him. The thing about it is, she called the cops on him, and she didn't give them her name, Vossi. She called the cops, and she gave them Jennifer's name. So I want to go over a few things in this police report. We requested a copy of this in 2017, but this incident took place in September of 2015, so right before that second appointment with Dr. Costeros. I'm just going to read down from the top, and I'm going to just add a few comments as I go, but it starts off with saying reporting person was LL with sister-in-law Vossi Yannikopoulos. RP stands for reporting person. Now, the thing that's funny about this police report is it was Vossi who called, but as you see up top, it's all of Jennifer's information. So it says Vossi was arguing with her 29-year-old son, Adam Hassan. Subject was shouting and throwing things. In the past few months, he'd made 1056 threats and 187 threats towards mom, which is not true at all. The address given was Adam's at the time. He called his mom to assist with finding his lost wallet. That's actually partially true. He did lose his wallet at the time, but that is not why he was at his mom's apartment. He was actually there to ask her to go to the emergency room with him. And I mean, she set up the appointment with Dr. Costeros, and his records are falsified. So why wouldn't she want to be a witness with her son at the emergency room? It says RP is at retrieve the phone number for Vossi. Negative PE, it lists Vossi's number and Adam's number. Hearsay from reporting person's husband from past discussion with Adam may have a gun. That is not true at all. Adam has never had a gun in his entire life. He's never even been arrested in his life. Never had the cops called on him until this happened, until after that injection. So it says, also possesses a cannabis card and smokes a lot of marijuana, creating irrational behavior. Again, just trying to blame it on weed, which is not true at all, History of acute pain from previous shoulder injury and depression. Adam is upset with the doctor that is treating his shoulder injury, and RP believes he has set a date of 11/9/15 as some type of retaliation. Again, Vasi Jin, these are the people who do not like Muslims. Again, they're trying to make him seem to be like some terrorist, just like they did in that letter, She said she was worried about this self-imposed deadline. This is not a self-imposed deadline. This is called a statute of limitations. This is him asking you guys, hey, my time is running out. I need you to stop playing with me. So for them to frame it as some sort of threat is just nasty, and it's, it's wrong. So it says, VM on call to Vasi. It lists Adam's information, 1026. LL with Adam, he states he doesn't know where Vasi is. 21A1, make 1021 RP residents step out. VM OCB. So yeah, let's take a look at the second page. So it states 21A1, open front door, no one come into door, check Adam for weapons. UTL weapons, register to Adam with info given, 21A1, PLT 1026, standing by for second, making announcement and entry 980, residence clear, per neighbor mail GOA 10 ago. LL with the RP, which they state is Jennifer, again in this police report. The only number she has for Vasi is, that's Vasi's cell phone number, and she is unable to reach her as well. Unknown where she may have gone, possibly en route to a bank to withdraw more money to give to him, meaning Adam. So, two issues I have with that. First of all, if Adam has been making these threats, if you had these past discussions and you believe he has a gun, why would she be on her way to give him money? If he's so dangerous, why is she so willing to meet up with him alone? It just really doesn't make sense. It also doesn't make sense because Vasi was the one that called that day. So who was really on the phone? I mean, is it Vasi on the phone pretending to be Jen? Did Vasi call Jen and have her do this? We actually asked her about that, and I'm going to play a little clip, but let me read you guys the rest of this report. It says, unknown what bank that might be, have Jennifer on hold, anything further, 2181 will secure residence.
My mom's the only witness, and I'm sitting here like, Mom, I'm losing my mind. You're my only witness. She's just been lying to me the whole time, and this is her new husband, and she don't want to deal with me. The reason why I'm here is the reason why I went in for that shoulder appointment is because her uncle slammed me. I don't know. I was there. It's like, please.
Why'd he slam you?
I don't know
why.
Were you
doing drugs?
No. Because.
When was the last time you did meth?
Me?
Yes.
I don't do meth. I swear to God.
No, the last time you did it.
I've never done meth in my life. I swear to
Coke.
God. I've
Heroin.
never snorted anything in my
Oxy.
life. No.
This is what's going to happen. Your parents are going to file a restraining order against you because they don't want you here. That's what they're going to do Monday morning. So with that said, that means that someone's going to serve you some paperwork saying you are not allowed in front of this residence or this block, basically. So when we show up like we did tonight and you're here, you will go to jail for violation of a court order because it's straight from the judge. And we can't do anything about it. All we do is enforce it. So my advice to you is don't come here ever again. Call her, and that's it. Even if you have a restraining order and you get served, be careful because you're not going to be able to call her because the restraining order usually says you can't be here within 100 yards, you can't call, email, text, anything electronically to your mom or anyone inside this residence, whoever she puts down on that restraining order. They don't want you here. They love you, they care about you, but they're saying you're doing way too much, coming over here banging on the windows and doors. Your mom's scared to come out of the house because she doesn't know what you're up to. She says,
So here's what's gonna happen. If we have to come back here, you get arrested for a felony. Okay? Alright? Prowling, going around people's house trying to bang. That's pretty much attempted burglary is what we can make it. That's gonna be a felony on your record. And you'll go to jail. And then guess what? You're gonna be fucked with the cops for your entire life. You're gonna have that PFN hanging over your head if you even know what that is.
It says that Jen called the police on me.
Oh, see, it's bullshit. It's like, you know what, Adam? I don't want to hear it. It's too much skata. You know what?
Too much shit?
Too much shit. I can't take it anymore. Yeah. That's not true.
So the cops are lying now?
I don't know. You need to call Jennifer on that one.
Yeah, but you called the cops though, right? So you guys called both simultaneously. You called her to call the cops too?
No, she didn't. She wasn't even at the apartment, Adam.
Then how did she know I was there, and how did she call the cops on me?
No, I don't know. I have no idea how her name got involved.
Now, pay attention to the date of when she called the cops. That was in September of 2015. That was the same month he got that letter from Palo Alto Medical Foundation stating that someone broke in and stole a laptop. And that was the same month that we had that second appointment with Dr. Casteros, where I was present, Adam was there, Jen was there, and Vossi was there. And not once did she ever bring up that letter that they wrote to him. Not once did she ever bring up using Jen's name in the police report or when she called 911. She never brought this up to us. And as you guys can hear in that recording, I mean, the cops are threatening him with a felony. They're saying he's going to have things that are going to follow him for the rest of his life. And how can they be so threatening and so sure when they haven't even came in contact with the person who called the cops? I mean, if they did their job, they would have seen that this is not Jennifer Toma. This is Vossi calling the cops. This woman is not on her way to get money for someone that is so threatening that she had to call the police on. You know, and honestly, thank God we got the recording. Thank God we got a copy of the police report when we did. And whenever you guys come into contact with any sort of police, I mean, your first instinct should be to record. Because you guys, I mean, as you specifically heard them say, they can make whatever charge they want. They've been doing it for 100 years, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. They're not out here looking for your best interest. They're not out here doing their jobs as public servants. I mean, to this day, we are still trying to contact the police. And unless you got money or unless you're a quote-unquote somebody, they're not going to do nothing for you. So just everybody realize that. We had to learn that the hard way. I don't want y'all to have to learn that the hard way. Again, I don't know what's going on with that police report. I don't know how in the world they would able to know Jennifer's information, and it doesn't make sense. I don't know if we'll ever know, but I mean, there are just too many coincidences, you know, with Jennifer, with his mother, and what happened with this injection was not an isolated incident, and it wasn't the first incident. You know, it goes back into their childhood. And after seeing his mom like lie like this and produce these fake documents and come up with all these different stories, it really started to make him think about his brother even more. You know, it never really made sense to him at that time what happened. But I mean, when it happened, he was only 21 years old, you know, so his life kind of, you know, just continued. I mean, he had to, like we all do after we lose a loved one. But once he was hurt and he had time to sit and think, that's when things really started to, you know, fall into place. So I'm going to play a audio recording, and then I'm going to come back to you guys.
So this is what I feel, and I'm just going to be completely honest. Everything he wrote in there is factually true. Like, the dates, everything in there is factually true. The little snippet about me is factually true. I think the perception, like, I don't think, and again, this is me coming from the outside, like, I know all the information in there is true, but I think it's perceived from a lens of trauma.
So, when we wrote out that GoFundMe and we titled it, Recording a Doctor's Appointment Led to My Brother's Murder, is because, like I said, once Adam had time to sit and think and he was hurt and kind of immobile, everything else kind of fell into place, and it got him thinking about his brother's death, and what really happened to Joseph.
Joe was honestly he was like a beacon of light.
Yeah.
Joe was a beacon of light. He was so intelligent, so kind, so loving. Like, I've never met a person like Joe in my entire life. He did party. Yeah, he partied, like, I'll say he didn't, he totally did party, but was he a drug addict? Fuck no. He was an amazing human being.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he was. He was just a phenomenal human.
Right.
Who definitely, clearly had an issue that I wasn't aware about how much of an issue it was. But he, in no way would I describe Joe as a drug.
Yeah.
On January 31st, 1986, the day Adam was born, Joseph was 3 years old at the time, and he found a scalpel in the hospital. He tripped and it went to his eye. Now, Vasi and Hassan sued the hospital, and Joseph was awarded a large amount of money, but he wasn't able to touch that money until he turned 18 years old. He ended up having 13 eye surgeries up until he was 16 years old. But it didn't really, hold him back academically, socially, or mentally. He was also placed on Ritalin, yet he still worked his way up to Cal State Poly as a business major. He ended up studying abroad. He excelled in school, dancing. He was a great big brother to Adam. So when he passed away, it never really felt right to Adam. He was on his last semester, about to graduate in December that year with a business degree. So I'm going to just go over a few things that happened in those last few months and days of Joseph's life. His death was ruled, I think it said accident or natural, by drug overdose. So I'm going to go over the police report and the autopsy report, but like I said, I want to play a couple clips for you guys and I'll get back to you.
She called you and asked you if you can get Adam to take it down.
Yeah, she did, and I said, look, I don't want to get involved with that. And she asked me to ask my uncle to get it taken down. And I said, I will convey the information that you asked me to do that, but that's the most I'm going to do. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to contact YouTube. I just told her I'm not doing any of that. Kids. But really, her only prerogative was wanting the video taken down off of YouTube.
Oh, really?
Because of it was, I think she was, I don't know if she even watched it, but she said someone told her about it and she didn't want the video of, Joe before he died being up on the internet. That was kind of her only prerogative.
So, like I said earlier, we made that GoFundMe and we went into a lot of detail and attached a lot of evidence. I am going to be going over a lot of that with you guys right here, but I want to play a little clip on what Vasi says happened the night before Joseph passed away.
When I walked in the day that Joe was, I have a video of it, Why didn't you call me when he was passed out like that in the morning? And you weren't answering your phone that morning. Why didn't you call me if he was like that on the floor?
You were at the house. That's when you came. That's when I woke up and you came over.
No, when I walked up to the house, you were taking pots and pans. You were taking them from your car and acting like you were helping with the pots.
But I thought he was sleeping. I didn't know Adam. That's why.
Well, when I got there, I got in a fight with you, and I recorded him because I was like, "Why didn't you tell me he was overdosing? Why didn't you tell?"
You told me, Mommy, he always sleeps like this, and he's hard to wake up. You told me that, so I was just listening to you.
Mom, if he always slept like that, then why did I record a video of him? That's the only video I have of him sleeping in my whole life, and I have so many videos of us.
I don't know, Adam. Adam, I really don't know why you did what you did.
Because
something was wrong, you should have woken them up.
Mom, the police report says you got up at 4 a.m. and you tried picking him up.
Picking him up?
Did you try picking him up?
No, I remember him coming to my room and he was like kneeling down on the ground. I was sound asleep and he was like staring in my face. That's the last time I saw of him.
Well, what was he doing? What do you mean? What did he say? Staring in your face. He woke you up and you...
He was just staring in my face. I go, Joseph, what are you doing? And he just looked at me. And then I went back to sleep and then he went back to the other room.
But what about when he was... Did you hear anything him... Because I remember you telling me a story where you heard some stuff of him messing with something.
Yeah, I did. That was before he came into the bedroom.
Okay. And he didn't say anything. He just woke you up and looked in your eyes?
Yep, that's what he did. He was kneeling on the ground and he looked at me. Yeah.
Okay. You weren't in my bed? What was this? You were sleeping on the floor? How was he looking in your eyes if he was on the ground?
He was like kneeling down. I don't know what bed I was sleeping in. I don't remember, Adam. I don't remember where it was. I was in another room when you're in the apartment, okay?
I lived in a studio. You don't remember your son died. Anyways.
It wasn't a studio. It was 2 rooms. Maybe it was 1 room and the kitchen. I was in the other room.
Is there anything else you remember from before I got there?
No, I don't. That's it.
Well, were you already at the house when Joe got there?
No, I was there, and then he came home. Then he came.
And he was just by himself? You don't know who he came with?
I don't know. He didn't come with anybody. I think he came by himself. You know?
He wasn't with George?
What?
He wasn't with George?
He was probably with somebody, but I don't know. I was already in the other room. I was sleeping. I'm too naive for this shit, okay?
Well,
you're asking the wrong person.
Well, Monty,
I did not.
You're not the wrong person. You're his mother.
I know him.
And you were there.
But the thing is, he had drugs in his body. I don't know what kind of drugs he had. But you can read what the autopsy report said. Because he had a drug overdose. Who gave him the drug overdose?
What did he overdose off of?
Oxycontin.
He overdosed off... who told you he'd overdose on Oxycontin?
Whatever's in the autopsy report.
So the day before Joseph was found unresponsive, he went out to a volleyball game with, Adam, his mom, his friend Omid, because it was actually Omid's girlfriend who was playing in the game, a few other friends, and Omid's family. After they went to that volleyball game, people split up, and Adam and Joseph was separated for the rest of that night. Now, I'm going to go over a few of the statements from the police report on what everybody told the cops. So I'm not going to go over everyone's statement to the police in detail. I just want to hit 2 key points. One, in Vasi's statement at the time, she told the police that, Joseph knocked on the door until Vasi let him in. Vasi went to bed. She could hear Joseph making noise as if he was moving furniture around the apartment. And at approximately 9 o'clock, she found Joseph lying on the living room floor. She tried to awaken him but could not. She tried to lift him off the floor, but he was too heavy. Adam then came home. So I just want to highlight that because what she was saying then differs from what she's saying now. Now she's saying that, she was asleep and he woke her up and was staring at her in the face. I don't know, it just really doesn't make sense to me. But I also want to go over Erica Burke's statement to the police because according to this police report, according to who talked to the police, I shall say, she did not see Joseph drink or do any drugs, and she was one of the last people to see Joseph. So what I'm going to read now is down here, this paragraph of investigation. It says, I met with Officer Peterson at 680 Brizolaro Avenue. An orange plastic bottle containing several types of narcotics had been handed to Sergeant Haxabow. It lists the different narcotics that they found, but I want to highlight that they said they found a cigarette wrapper with 11 white tablets. These tablets had no markings. They were seized as evidence. And on this page of the police report, it states that the unidentified pills were tested for ecstasy and amphetamines with negative results. It says that they were then booked into the SLO PD evidence lockers. But as I mentioned before, according to the detective we spoke to, they have since been thrown away. I also want to go over the statement of Yanni. Now, Yanni is that guy that Vasi mentioned, the person she characterized as manipulative and sneaky. I just want to read to you guys his statement that he gave to the police at the time that this happened. He told them that he was biologically the uncle of Adam and Joseph, but due to the closeness in their age, they were more like cousins. He said that Joseph had been visiting his father in Texas, and when Joseph flew back to the Bay Area, he met up with Yanni. Yanni characterized Joseph as being reckless with drugs and that he knew Joseph had used ecstasy, cocaine, and Xanax, but I've never known him to use Oxycontin. Yanni said that Joseph had picked up the Xanax found at his apartment while he was in the Bay Area. The cocaine and Oxycontin have to have been purchased in SLO. So I'm going to go back over that a little bit later, but I just wanted to highlight that real quick for you guys. The fact that he would characterize Joseph as reckless and things of that nature. Now, this is the results from the toxicology report. This was a complete drug screen. They listed every drug that they were looking for. As you can see here, there was no THC found in his system, no alcohol found in his system. They did list all the other drugs that were found in his system, but I'm going to put these up with the lethal levels for you guys, just so you can see the comparison. Now, in Joseph's toxicology report, it says for methamphetamine, his urine levels were at 1.1 milligrams per liter, but the potentially toxic levels for urine methamphetamine ranges from 25 to 250 milligrams per liter. And for amphetamine, in urine, they found 0.12 milligrams per liter, and for it to be potentially toxic, in urine amphetamine, it needs to range between 25 and 300 milligrams per liter. Now, as far as the blood levels, for amphetamines, he was negative. For methamphetamines, he had a level of 0.007 milligrams per liter. And for it to be potentially toxic, you would need a level of 0.2 to 5 milligrams per liter. Now, the next numbers I'm going to read to you are all going to be based on his blood levels at hospital admission. For oxycodone, they found a level of 0.03 milligrams per liter. And for oxycodone to be potentially toxic, it needs to be 0.2 milligrams per liter. For oxymorphone, they found 0.01 milligrams per liter. As listed here, the potentially toxic levels are not known. For MDMA, they found a level of 0.031 milligrams per liter. And for MDMA to be potentially toxic, you need to have a level of 0.6 to 2.8 milligrams per liter. Now, the effectively or potentially toxic levels for MDA are not known, but for Joseph, they found a level of 0.030 milligrams per liter. Now, for the next one, it's going to be pronounced mecprobamate. And Joseph, they found a level of 2.7 milligrams per liter. And for meprobamate to be potentially toxic, you would need to have 30 to 50 milligrams per liter. And for carisoprodol, he had a level of 0.6 milligrams per liter. And for that to be potentially toxic, you need to have more than 50 milligrams per liter in your blood. Now, the next one is called alprazolam. In Joseph, they found a level of 0.009 milligrams per liter, and for that to be potentially toxic, you would need to have a level of 0.1 to 0.4 milligrams per liter. So as you guys can see, everything that they found in his blood and in his urine were way below the potentially toxic levels. And on top of that, you do have to account for someone who does have a higher tolerance. I mean, he's been on Ritalin since he was about 3 to 4 years old. So for them to say to classify his death as a drug overdose, I feel like is negligent, because how are you going to say someone died of a drug overdose, but you can't identify what drug gave him the drug overdose? You cannot just go based on people's words, because just because someone died with drugs in their system does not mean that it was the drugs that killed them. So it even states here that, the hospital, the blood drug concentrations found do not definitively document drug overdose as a cause of the seizure, because none of the drugs found in his system were anywhere near the potentially toxic levels. Nowhere near them. It also states that it could be the levels in his blood could reflect metabolic clearance between use and hospital admission. How? He was at a game the night before. I mean, he didn't even smoke weed. He didn't take any shots. He didn't drink any alcohol. I mean, when would he have had time to take those drugs and let them get out of his system before he was admitted into the hospital? I mean, he was admitted the next morning after that volleyball game. And as you guys saw, Erica Berg was one of the last people with him. She didn't see him take any drugs or drink any alcohol. Another thing that I want to put here is to classify, Joseph as an unfortunate young man with a significant history of drug abuse is unfair, and it's not right to do. I mean, he was so much more than that, and he did not have a significant history of drug abuse. He was not a drug addict, as you heard his family members say. He achieved a lot in the short time that he was here, and they clearly didn't do their work, because I mean, how do you perform an autopsy and you still have questions, yet you're so sure it was a drug overdose, yet you can't name what drug it was. You can't even name what combination of drugs caused the overdose. I mean, he has questions himself, but it seemed like they wanted to hurry up and close the case, and this was a decision based on people's words, not based on evidence. Now, the reason this is so important now is because like I said, Joseph was awarded a large sum of money when he turned 18, and that created a dynamic between his parents and their whole entire family, a dynamic that ended up pushing Joseph and Adam closer as brothers, but it did negatively affect everyone as a whole. This money became the center of all these adults' attention, and it really showed in the difference in treatment that they showed to Adam and Joseph. From my understanding, Hassan and Joseph had a business together where Joseph gave his father a large sum of money, which he ended up losing. And right after Joseph was admitted into the hospital, one of the first things Bossy did was go to the bank and have one of Joseph's friend at the time take all the money out of his bank account. So I just think, why would that be something that's on your mind when your son is in the hospital in a coma? Why would you be on your way to the bank, and why would you have, an insider take out this money for you? It just doesn't seem right.
So what about Daniel Ghazi? You don't talk to him no more?
No! I don't even know. He was working at Wells Fargo? I don't know where. No way. I don't know any of these people anymore.
Okay.
So I want to bring up Yanni again. He's the guy in front with the white t-shirt. The reason I'm bringing him up is because about a year before Joseph passed away, I guess Yanni went to Joseph along with 2 other men, one of them being George Maganas. Now, George Maganas was one of Joseph's best friends. George was also attending Cal State Poly. I'm not sure what he was attending for, but what I do know is he was in a fraternity called Delta Sigma Phi. Now, Joseph was also pledging to be in Delta Sigma Phi. I mean, Joseph and George were very close. George even knew Adam. So Yanni hit them up for some financial advice. You can see here in this letter, it is signed H.M. I'm assuming that means Hassan, Magnus, and Murray. And if someone was so reckless with drugs and so unfortunate, why would you be going to him for business advice? That just doesn't make sense to me. Now, the same year in 2006, Joseph and Vasi took a trip to Greece. Now, in this trip was Yanni was there, his uncle Alex was there, that's Vasi's brother, along with a few other family members. But while going through some old hard drives, we did find a few videos of him out there in Greece. Now, a lot of these videos, they're speaking in Greek, but they're definitely like having business conversations. And like I said, Joseph was set to graduate, with a business degree at that time. He was already going to Cal Poly. So they were definitely talking about business. I don't know what they were talking about, but I know it was about business. And while they were out there on that trip, we found some videos of Joseph in a bed, clearly under the influence of something. I mean, I know Joseph couldn't have smuggled drugs into Greece, so I just want to know, what was he under the influence of? The reason that's important is because before Joseph moved to Cal Poly in that apartment with Adam, he was actually interning at PG&E for his mother. She had got him, the job there as being an intern. And Adam had seen Joseph unresponsive in that matter while around his mother. So instead of moving in with his friend, Adam said, you know what, instead I'm going to have my brother live with me because I don't know if something's going on with him. So I just think, that's important to know, that every time Joseph was in Vasi's care, for some reason he was under the influence and unresponsive. Another thing that is off-putting about George Maganas is for him and Joseph to be so close, and for George to also be one of the last people to see Joseph alive. He has never to this day made any statements regarding to the police or anything regarding Joseph's death. He hasn't even responded to any messages from myself or Adam in regards to Joseph. And I just think that's very weird, because if that's your best friend, what is stopping you from reaching out to his family or to the police? Because in 2021, we drove down to San Luis Obispo to meet with a detective, and we asked them to try to get in contact with George, which they agreed to do. And he got back to us and he told us that George was not returning his calls and there was nothing more he can do. So, I mean, that's just very weird that still, to this day, you're still not willing to talk to the police about your quote-unquote best friend. So I'm going to play a couple of clips from that night when I met up with Vasi, of when she's talking about Yanni and how important it is to lie to these Greeks and things like that.
Okay, now promise me that if you ever meet my sister or Costa or my husband, if you ever meet them and if they ask you if you're working or if Adam's working, you better tell them yes.
Well, I am going to be working, and I'm going to get money.
You were working anyway. You say I work at Jamba Juice, but can you say that for me?
Well, I don't think that I don't know when I'm gonna meet them, honestly, and I don't think they're gonna talk to that about me because I've met your sister's husband,
Yeah.
and he didn't bring that up at all.
But
We
if
were
they
just
do, because they might say, oh, are you guys like living together? Oh yeah. Well, where do you work? Well, I work at Jamba Juice. What does Adam do? Well, he does videography. You could just say that. He does filming. That's how he makes his money. I don't know what say anything. He works for Uber. I don't know, because I tell my relatives.
or like if they ask me that, I just won't. I don't know, like
do you know that guy Yanni, my cousin Yanni, that he did the wedding for?
I hear Adam talked about him once, but I don't think I've ever
Adam
met
went to a
him.
wedding and did all these pictures, and then
I think I ate at his restaurant.
Yeah.
I think I ate there. Yeah.
Don't ever tell him that don't ever
Right.
tell that kid.
You know what?
He's my
Honestly,
cousin. He's
I
my
will
cousin.
I will never speak on anything that's none of my business. So I'm not. I will never tell you someone.
He's very manipulative. He's gonna ask you.
If they ask you, I just won't answer.
he
Honestly,
asks-
it's none of my business.
No, but
you
if
know.
he asks,
But then again, I don't want to lie.
You could just say, I work. I help.
I mean, I'll speak on myself, yeah, but I won't talk about Adam, and I won't talk about you. You know, I won't. I just won't answer. You know.
I don't want anybody to know that I'm helping Adam out, because it'll get back to my husband, and my husband will be like, "What are you doing here? You can't do that."
Do they know that he's sick, or do they not know?
They know that he's sick, but they think that they know that he's been a pot smoker too, that he smoked weed even before he got sick, even before he got that injection. They knew that he was a heavy pot smoker. They know that he worked at a cannabis club.
Yeah.
My
weed isn't weed. No one's ever died off of marijuana.
I know that, but they're like the guy's it's a pot
They're
smoker.
judgmental?
They're judgmental, yes. They're gonna say, why are you helping somebody who's a pot smoker? You understand what I'm saying? You don't get what I'm trying to say.
Oh. No, I don't know the history. That's why,
That's
you know.
the history. Because
Do their kids smoke?
Listen.
Ate at the restaurant. He didn't bring you up at all. He doesn't, you know, that's not, you don't have to worry about, oh,
I understand, but like
you know?
even if Ray or Marcus or anybody asks, hey, dog, what are you doing? Where are you working? You should just say, well, I'm working for Uber. He shouldn't be saying, oh, you know, my mom.
Well, those are his friends. You know, those are his best friends. So
I know, but those best friends can go back and tell Yanni. You understand? They know Yanni. They go.
I know, but you know, we can't keep it a secret, because if we keep it a secret, then it's not going to seem like a big problem. So those are his, and his friends aren't. Those are his friends. His friends aren't going to go tell him his business. Like, have you ever?
I mean, Joseph had a lot going on at that time in his life. I mean, he was, you know, seeing about some sort of job for Boeing. He was traveling back and forth. As I said, he was interning for PG&E through his mother, Vasi, and then he was about to finish up, you know, his last semester at school at Cal Poly. And it just seems so weird. Whatever business his mother and his uncle Yanni and, you know, all the Greeks were trying to get him involved in, it seemed like they were just trying to isolate him more and more from everyone who was not Greek. You know, he had a girlfriend at the time. Her name was Jessica. I'm going to play a couple recordings from her because we did reach out to her, and then I'm going to come back to you guys.
No, like, you know, my time with Joseph, it was very kind of brief. It was intense, but it was brief. And we did live in different cities, so I didn't get a good glimpse of like everything going on in his life. I do know that he did have, you know, some issues with drugs, and that's what I always assumed, that he just overdosed. Joseph was a very dear part of my life. He was. We were young. We were kind of, you know, I think at that time at our age, we thought we were massively in love, wanted to marry, and, you know, future and all this stuff. But it just, the last time I talked to Joseph, he was like a completely different person.
Yeah.
And so that's why I always thought, you know, he just really went off on like the drugs.
So the reason, you know, we reached out to Jessica was just to get a better idea of Joseph's life, you know, at that time before he passed away, because he was Adam's big brother. So he really didn't go to him with all the problems that he had going on. I mean, one of the last things he did tell Adam was, mom and dad were crazy. And at the time, Adam really didn't understand. But looking back in hindsight of how, his father lost all of his money, and then, his mother with, this PG&E job and his quote-unquote annuity and things like that, Adam just didn't know it at the time what he truly meant. As you heard from Jessica, her and Joe, their love was kind of really intense. And when they broke up, it was, out of nowhere to her. Now, from the other perspective, from what Adam has told me, it was actually Yanni who made Joseph, break up with Jessica. He was telling her, she's from Vegas, she's not a good girl, and things like that. And I am going to go into a little bit more detail, but I want to play a couple more recordings from Jessica for you guys.
No, when he went back to San Luis Obispo, he was here for about maybe a couple of weeks, came to Vegas, stayed with me, and then he went back, and that's when he just really changed. And that I just got this random phone call that he wasn't ready for a serious relationship. I did. I met his mom. I went to San Francisco. I met his family.
Okay.
Yeah. They were nice, but they were judgmental because I was from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
To them, they were, they thought that everybody from Las Vegas was just trash.
She also told us, about a time when she was coming back, she knew Joseph has some sort of business going on with this guy named Sal. Now, Sal is a guy you see here in the white shirt. Sal and the girl you see here with Vasi, her name is Veronica. These two are actually the people who decorated Joe's grave. Now, if you ask Sal about Veronica today, I guess he don't remember her. However, they both decorated Joe's grave. Now, going through Joseph's stuff, we found this letter that he wrote about Sal, and I want to read it to you guys just because it kind of puts into perspective all these people who were hanging around Joe. So I'm not going to read the letter in full, but I'm going to put it up here for you guys. You can pause it and read it if you like to, but I'm going to come back and I just want to highlight a few parts. So basically, Joe and Sal went out with Sal's girlfriend and Sal's sister. They went out to, I guess, a bar or something, and Sal's ex-girlfriend happened to be working there. So Joe explained, just to be courteous, they noticed her. He wasn't going to ignore her, so he said hello. Who happened to be by his side was Sal's new girlfriend. So he introduced them, not really processing what was going on. I guess Sal, got very upset. I don't know, got mad at Joe, as Joe explained, and then said that Joe was super fucked up and things like that. Again, this is just another instinct of where they're just trying to use that as an excuse. But as Joe explained in that letter, I mean, he wasn't even really buzzed. He had maybe two drinks, 2 shots over a 4-hour period. He said in that letter he don't know if it was jealousy or what it really was that got Sal upset. But Sal was in no position to really be calling anyone fucked up. He was, I guess, fired from jobs before from being drunk, and he's been fucked up hella times, as Joe has said. So it really had nothing to do with him being fucked up. But I mean, if you pause and you read the letter and you just look at the word he used and how he expressed himself, nowhere in there can you read that letter and say a drug addict wrote that, or someone who is off drugs or is irrational wrote that. I mean, everything he did showed his intelligence. He has so many notes here that we went through, so many things. I'm obviously not going to display them all, but we have a lot more things here that we didn't attach, but a lot of this is in his own handwriting. And as you guys can see, what they try to paint in that autopsy report and in that police report is so far from who Joe actually was. So I also want to talk about this girl, Veronica. There's 2 things that I want to talk about that she did after he passed away. The first one was she was bugging Adam to like borrow some of his things. She eventually got a whole suitcase of his belongings, and instead of returning them back to Adam, she threw them away. And when Adam asked her about it, she blamed it on someone else she was living with at the time. But at the end of the day, if you ask to borrow something, you return it back. I don't care if you threw it away or you let somebody else throw it away. That was her responsibility. Another thing that I thought was very weird, you guys remember how I brought up Jessica and how they were dating around the time, before he passed away. And when they broke up, it was super sudden. It was very surprising to her. Well, I found an email and this was way after Joseph passed away. Joseph passed away in 2007, and this was maybe like the middle of 2008. When Joseph was alive, he has sent a picture of him and Jessica to his mom, showing off his new girlfriend. Way after Joseph passed away, Vossi sent that same picture to Veronica. Now, I don't know what that means, but I don't know why she would ever do that. I don't know, but like I said, Veronica was very in love with Joe, although he really didn't like her like that. So I think it really got something to do with that. I mean, this girl is very weird. She hits us up today. After we did the GoFundMe, this is one of the people that Vossi was trying to get to hit up Adam and tell him to take it down. We ignored all their phone calls. I mean, she didn't see Adam in over 10 years, and when she's speaking to him, she's saying, let's go to New York together. Who does that? So I just wanted to talk about her because her and Sal together, they decorated Joe's grave. Now, if you ask Sal about Veronica today, he'll act like he didn't know her. But it's just so funny that we have Veronica throwing away Joseph's belonging after he passed away. And we have this letter in Joseph's handwriting talking about Sal and how weird he acts. So I just wanted to kind of make that connection. And like I said, Veronica is very close to Vossi to this day.
Yeah, as long as Adam knows and he, I don't know what the story is that you guys been told. Like I said, it's just been just a suspicion on my end because I don't have 100%, didn't get the answer either. All I know is just, from my time with Joseph.
If you look up Joseph Hassan and find a grave and you read it, everything about it is just super weird. Vossi claims she doesn't know who wrote it, but whoever wrote it must have knew a lot about the family. They knew about exactly what happened. But in my honest opinion, it just seems like someone who felt guilty wrote it. I mean, they're using words like Vossi coincidentally went up to San Luis Obispo that weekend, and different things like Joseph was very close with his uncle Alex and Yanni. Alex and Yanni were two of the people that were on that trip to Greece in 2006, the year before Joseph passed away. The same people who were with him when we found those videos of Joseph unresponsive. So like I said, it seems like very guilty. It seems almost like an alibi. It's just weird. I mean, just look at his resume. Look at everything he accomplished in just 24 years of life. Like I said, his expected graduation date was December of 2007. So it just does not make sense to me on why Vossi would have a life insurance policy on someone like Joe. It doesn't make sense. He was way too young. He had accomplished way too much. He was relatively healthy. He didn't have any health complications. So there's no real excuse for her having that policy on him. So speaking of the life insurance, we're trying to look into that a little bit more, but it is actually very difficult just because of the way the whole system is set up. It's like it works for the people who are committing fraud, not the people who actually need help. Basically, when we contacted them, they told us that whatever inquiries you make, the only information they send out is information to beneficiaries. So to give you guys an example, say I was scared and I thought somebody had life insurance on me and I wanted to look them up and say, hey, is there a policy on me, and give them my name, I wouldn't know. The only person who would know is the beneficiary. So although we're trying to look into this life insurance, there's no way for us to get information without really going through Vasi. Because even if we did make an inquiry on our own, all the alerts and all the information would get sent to her. So it's kind of like a loophole that is just really weird. I mean, you see it on Dateline. All this, there's so many Datelines about people taking out life insurance policies, 3, 4, coming out to millions of dollars, and no one knows until it's too late. No one looks into it at the time, and I think that's something that they really, really need to work on, because not only could she have one here, I mean, we have his father telling us that she had one on Joseph through PG&E. I mean, the year before Joseph passed away, his father, Hassan, was an interpreter for the army, and he claims that Vasi stole a bunch of money from him. And remember, one of the first things she did when Joseph was in the ICU was go to Wells Fargo and take his money out the bank through Daniel Agazi. So it's kind of really hard to look into it without, I say hiring a private investigator or having a detective who actually wants to do his job. When you're doing it on your own, like me and Adam, it just is very time consuming. And just know that we're still looking into it. Like I said, we have a lot more things that I haven't attached here that, we're still looking into. So just keep updated. We'll keep you guys updated on everything that we find out from here on out. Another thing I think this can really teach us all is that we can all really do better. If you know someone and you love someone and you see them struggling, just ask questions, look into things, be there for people, to don't judge. You know what I mean? Because when you judge, it makes it even harder for someone to come out and open up to you. And when someone does take that step, don't dismiss it.
Every single person in our family, including myself, we've all failed Adam in a way. You know what I mean? Like, I think nobody knows how to help him, and I don't really side that well at all. But I know the Egyptian side, like, everybody loves him, but I think, like, nobody knows how to get him the help he really needs. And it's like, there's just so many things. There's the molestation, there's the injury, there's what happened with the doctor, there's Joe's death, and these are all big things. And then there's his, severed relationship, family members.
And honestly, for all his family members, they can honestly do so much better. Just the bare minimum would be much better than what they're doing. I mean, they've been witnesses to all of these things. I mean, his aunt Tula was there when Joseph lost his eye in the hospital. I mean, they knew about the abuse that that Adam suffered as a child, the type of abuse that no child should ever be exposed to. And then they repeatedly made him be around his abuser. And this was the same abuser that hurt him again as a child. I mean, he was overweight for a portion of his childhood and couldn't walk because the same guy that abused him hurt him and he broke his ankle. So when Adam finally got the ability to do physical activity again, he really relied on his physical abilities. Socially, to make money. Like I said, he was supposed to do the halftime show for the Warriors. And for some reason, it always bothered Vasi. I mean, it never made sense besides pure hatred, whether it's breakdancing or whether it's King Tut or whether it's marijuana. When she's admitted herself to smoking marijuana with Adam, she's admitted that her Greek nieces and nephews smoke marijuana. But when it comes to anyone or anything that's not Greek, it's just like no good in her book. And it's not only is it not good, she will actively try to destroy you.
Like a lot of Joe's friends mentioned and all that stuff, but I do know, the family portion of it, and I think it's accurate. But I also do what my opinion on Vasi being involved and killing Joe. I can't. It's hard for me to grasp that she would want to kill her son. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I get what you're saying, because life is about
Yeah.
perception. You know.
Like, it's hard for me to grasp that. And
But do you know there were times where like even the thing about him being molested too. Like, do you know she even like first when she first came over and when he first really like was like, bro, like something's not up with that doctor and you're protecting the doctor just like you protected telling me to lie doing this, and she straight up was like, what did he do? He was like, Mom, like, I was molested. She was like, by who? Was it your papu? Was it? And it's like, okay, first, why would you even say like, oh, was it your papu? Was it Alex? When it was neither one of them. And then months later on the phone, she was like, well, yeah, actually I do remember, And it's like, okay, well, like, I don't know, like, just like.
I believe that. I do believe that.
And
I think it's fucked up. I totally do. I think that has made the trauma so much worse because he wasn't protected by his mom.
For their entire lives, Vasi has turned a blind eye to the abuse that her children were suffering. She purposely hurt her children for attention from her husband or the public. Then she ultimately took advantage of these broken systems to kill one of her children and try to kill the other one. For what? I don't know. Maybe money, maybe shame. But even after all we've been through, and after all I've showed y'all, that's still hard for me to say. Because naturally, in my head, that's not possible. Mothers don't do what Vasi did. But it's the only place that the evidence is leading me. Why else would she go to the lengths she went to? It's more than just embarrassment or pride. It's something else, something hateful. So I want to take the time to thank you guys for sitting here and for listening to all the evidence and the videos that I've showed you guys. We truly do appreciate it. Because like I said, this is more than just about Adam and Joe. It's about a system that allowed this woman to do what she did and allows people to take our lives in their hands and play with it like they're God. And they get paid while they're doing it.
Adam,
What's up, Mom?
how are you?
I mean, the last time you called me was when I put up that thing.
Yeah, I know, because I'm very mad at you for doing that,
Well, why are you mad at me?
Well, how many people did you collect money, for that? You tell me. Did you collect a lot of money for that?
Is that what matters to you, Mom, after everything that happened to Joe and us?
No. You know what? You shouldn't have done all that, Adam. That wasn't necessary.
I'm going to ask you something. First off, I didn't collect nothing. Second, did I lie?
You were asking for a GoFundMe page. That's what you were doing.
I did. But let me ask you, did I lie?
No, you didn't lie.
Okay. Don't.
But why would you do that though? Put that on there like that?
Because I think you're crazy, and I don't like evil people.
You think we're crazy?
Psst, Mom, come on, bro. Look, Mom, all you guys are funny.
Mm-hmm.
You guys been doing this for as long as I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, all you guys are crazy. So I don't know what to say.
All right. Okay. Well, have a nice Thanksgiving, Adam.
Yeah, hope you get better.
I hope you too. Bye.
Bye.
Presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for every presidents to represent me. Dead for old 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 presidents to represent me. I'm out for